Hello, lovely Heather. How are you? Let's see. I am. I'm going to pop out the chat. Good morning. Okay. So today's session is going to be really interesting because this session is actually going to prep for next week's hypnosis. And I'm just looking at my schedule really quick because I know that we have holidays coming up and I need to figure out how I'm going to navigate that. Yeah. So actually, Thursdays are actually non-holiday days. So that actually works. So, okay. So today may be a little bit shorter because we'll see how it goes. I want to do this process and then I want to do some tapping and then it's going to prep us for what we're going to do next week with hypnosis. So I am really curious how things have been going since our last session and what's been going on with all of that. So when you have some time, let me know. I just would like to know where everyone is with this. With what we've been doing the last few weeks with the NLP and hypnosis. So just curious about that if you want to share. And when you're ready, so I want you to think of, and will be very experiential. So I want you to think of, which you probably should know a little bit about this by now, but I am curious. I want you to think of the one thing that you think is keeping you from having the money that you desire today. Like today, what's the one thing that you really think that's holding you back? And this is really powerful exercise because I want to show people how your brain will tell you one thing, but your body might be telling you something different and like what that means, how to navigate it, and how to move forward in a more aligned way. Things are good. I truly felt a shift that work is more fun. Oh my gosh, I love that. I need to go back and do my own process. Good. Okay. So, what's the one thing that you perceive, and like because we've been working with this for so long in this container, is holding you back? And, there might be a lot of stories there. It might be like, I'm not showing it fully, or I have the belief that work has to be hard, or um, I work too much, so I don't have the capacity, or I'm not showing up fully, or whatever the story is. And I wanted you to just note what that story might be, right? And I want to show you the difference between what we think is holding us back and what actually is holding us back, which is super powerful. So when you have some time, let me know something that, and guy, the truth is that there's probably more than one thing, right? And that's okay. But just one will do. And it can also be like a behavior is really good, but it could be an emotion or a pattern as well, right? So it could just be, I feel anxious or overwhelmed or frustrated or whatever. What's the one thing that you feel like is the most important thing? The one that if we knock over would be like, okay, everything else is going to shift from here with making the money that you desire today or this week if that feels better for you. I love doing this around this time of year because a lot of times people have the belief that at the end of the year or with the holidays that people don't buy, which I actually believe the opposite. So, yeah, really, really curious on what that feels like. And if you're having trouble with this, you can let me know, so I can make sure that you're getting the experience of the shifts. And so for me, I feel like lately I've been feeling um, still a lot of resistance. And, resistance is one of those interesting ones because our brain will be like, oh, I know what it is. It's resistance. But getting more clear on what that resistance is and how it shows up is also really important for like pegging our patterns and like what the actual issues are, right? So for something like this, it's very much like, okay, my resistance is a lot of activation in the body. Um, hmm, a lot of procrastination, but that kind of stems from the activation, right? Because I procrastinate because I feel like this feeling that makes me feel overwhelmed, right? So that's another good thing to start to notice of like, oh, well, is it the procrastination or is the procrastination because I feel anxious and this all the sensations in my body? Start to notice the hierarchy of it, right? I'm having more insights and making more changes. I've also signed up with some business coaching for January. I'm also learning so much about having a strategy to sell on my stories. Oh, that's great. I'm so glad that is working for you. I love that. Good. I'm glad. And I think for you, I mean, we talk about this so much, but just having a, a a more diverse offer suite, I think for you is going to be so key. And then having that strategy to sell on stories, which is just so good, right? Yeah, amazing. I love that for you, right? Okay, so if you're not sure, then I would just pick something to work with that tends to be one of your patterns, just so we have something to work with, right? Or another way that you could do this, if you're struggling with like the one thing that's keeping you from making the money, you could actually think about your monthly goal. And if you're making money can be easy, okay, we'll do that one for sure, right? This has been coming up so much. I just got off the phone with one of my private clients and we worked through the same exact thing. I feel like everybody, it's so funny when one of my clients has something, all of them do. So I always find that really interesting. Okay, making money can be easy. Okay, so I know, right? So the belief would be that money is hard. Ask yourself what the belief is. Is it that money has to be hard or that I deserve things to be hard? Like start to get clear on what that belief actually is, because I want to show you the way that it manifests um, physically in your body, but also what your brain might be telling you that's like blocking you, right? So get really clear on what that belief looks like. What or that belief might be something like, well, it gets to be easy for everyone but me. Or yeah, you have to work hard for money. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so I want you to think about just a second, what types of okay, let me think about how I want to articulate this. As if you have the identity of someone who identifies as, well, money has to be hard for me. Money is hard. We have to work hard for money, right? I want you to notice the actions that you take from this identity or what actions you don't take, right? A lot of times I see this, and a really good example is I had a client who was moving from like 10K months to like 25K months. That's in our work together. And it was so funny. Every time that she would sign on a new client or, do do the things that were getting her into that 25K month, she would put more on her plate. She would just be like, now I'm going to do this offer and I'm going to hire this person and I'm going to do this and that. And she would just stress herself out so much because she would put so much on her plate, even though everything on her plate was good, right? Our brains are so sneaky, but she would get so stressed out that she didn't have the capacity to do the things that she actually needed to do to sustain those 25K months. So a lot of times we see this. Um, a lot of times we see this sorry about that. A lot of times we see this with income roller coaster, dipping up and down, right? So for that, Ginger, I'll tell you where we're at in just a second. But um, when we have the belief that money has to be hard, we'll create that dynamic even if it comes easy. That's a really big thing. So I'm curious for you, what actions come from that belief? As the identity of money is hard, is it like, well, I make things harder than they have to be? So, Ginger, the questions were, what's the one thing that keeping you from making the money you want today? And we're going to do a process that's going to show you the difference between what your brain is telling you versus what your body is telling you and why that matters and what to do about it. And this is also going to prep you guys for next week hypnosis session. So, and Ginger, if you want to, you don't have to, but if you want to, I'm just curious if you saw any shifts from the last few sessions that we've done. I always like to do what I can for you guys and take the stuff in consideration that you tell me. So I was just like, hold space for a minute because I know Ginger just hopped on, and I know I just threw some stuff at Heather because we want to get clear on what our brain is telling us the problem is and the actions that we take from that identity. So, money has to be hard. And I was just telling Heather that it's so funny when one of my clients have it, it's like all of my clients. I was just on a private coaching call, and it was literally the exact same thing we were working through, and all my other private clients have been dealing with it in the past week or so. So I find that interesting. A better attitude and had a great month financially last month. This month dipped back down. Yeah, good to notice. It's like mindset. So I have to do more as opposed to living with more trust and letting go. If sales are low, then I should do more. Yeah. Well, and what's ironic about this is that yes and no. I want to be mindful because I don't want to tell people just to sit back and manifest. Um, I don't want to sit back and just have people manifest, even though I do it successfully and I have people that do it successfully. But with that, you have to really have a lot of time and space to make sure that you're really able to harness your energy in a certain way consistently. And a lot of us don't have that. We don't have the capacity or the time for it. And so the reason that I tell you guys to have the action step with it is because aligned action is almost like having something. Aligned action to me is having something that I really want to share either way, and not sharing it is a disservice versus taking action to get, if that makes sense. For me, and what I was just working on with my client is I don't like using the word manipulate, but shifting energy in a way that the stuff will come to you, but you're taking action because you feel like you have something to say versus you going out and like having the intention to sell. Those are very different energies. Whether or not you think one is better than the others are relevant, but they are different energies. And just to check that, right? Okay, I'm feeling very tired during the day. Yeah, I think a lot of people are dealing with that. I am curious, like, if you think that is like sometimes like we have tiredness as like a coping thing, or a way to keep us from going into the next level. Like for example, if well, we'll go back to money being easy. If we have the belief that money has to be hard and it comes to us really easily, we'll make ourselves really busy and we'll make ourselves tired so it doesn't seem so easy, if that makes sense. Yeah, exactly. You said it again. I have something wonderful to offer. Yeah. So there's a big difference. Well, actually, Heather, hold on. Let me tell Krista what's going on. Krista, we're identifying the one thing that's keeping you from making the money that you want today. And the reason that we're doing this is twofold. The first is to show you the difference of what your cute little brain is telling you versus what your body is telling you, because it's been coming up a lot for my clients and like what to do about it and how to navigate it, but also to prep you guys for the hypnosis that's coming next week. So today's session is going to be a little bit different, but that's okay. Yes, Heather. So, Krista, sorry. So the one thing that's keeping you from, making the money you desire. So, some beliefs or, emotions or behaviors. So that might be like procrastination, getting tired, having a belief that money has to be hard. And then we want to ask ourselves, what are the actions I take from that identity? So we're start getting really clear on our patterns, right? So the one thing keeping you from making the money I want today, and the action I take when I'm identified as that person, right? Heather, yeah, can I say that again? So when we're in alignment, alignment is so powerful because it signals to all levels of your consciousness that they're safe to communicate with you, right? And so that's when we get those inspired ideas, those aha moments. And that's a very different thing from going out and taking action from that because you have something to offer, you have something to say, you have something to be of service, right? Versus selling to get. Now, whether or not you agree with selling to get is right, like nothing's right or wrong, but what works for you, right? is irrelevant. I just want you to start clocking patterns and behaviors and energy behind things and what works for you and what doesn't. I'm really good at sales. I always have been, even from the time that I was very young. Um, and selling to get is a different energy. Doesn't mean it doesn't work, doesn't mean that I can't do it. But what I notice is that for me and this line of work, it's a balance of me selling, like it's the duality, which I feel like I want to do a container called duality. I want to do a container called capacity, because these are all things that I love to deep dive in. But it's the duality of holding. So like this particular client, she really wants 100K months. And what we were talking about was the irony of that. People, when they try to quantum leap, it's the one thing that actually keeps them from quantum leaping. And instead of having the intention to quantum leap, you have the intention to be safe and secure in your business. A lot of times we're not quantum leaping because we don't feel safe and secure with money and or our business or the capacity that it's required from us. So we don't allow ourselves to experience it, right? And so I told her, I said, it's the duality of setting the intention to have 100K month while also being okay with those 10, 20, 30K months until you get, because the truth is that if you go from 0 to 100, you would burn it down. Your body wouldn't have the capacity to hold it. Now, that's not true for everybody, but I would say majority of people, that's true. So there's a reason why you don't go from 1 to 100K months, right? You can, it's not impossible, but it would require a lot of alignment work, a lot of nervous system regulation, a lot of capacity work. And so the intention is, can you hold your goal while holding, so okay, not hold the intention of your goal. Can you set your goal and then let it go and then hold the intention that I'm going to be safe and secure in my business? Because that's when you see the biggest quantum leaps. And every one of my private clients will tell you that they felt, when they quantum leap, they felt the most safe and secure in their business. You cannot quantum leap and sustain it if you do not feel safe and secure in your business. That's just, it is what it is. So for anybody, for example, that has the belief that money has to be hard or have to work hard for money, it's really hard for them to get to those higher cash months and sustain them, because there's that belief playing out of, it has to be hard. This feels too easy. So I'm going to work more because I don't feel, worthy, or whatever the story is of it being that easy. So subconsciously, I'm going to sabotage and make myself do more work. So I don't have the capacity to even do the things to take, like, I've literally had clients that didn't even have the capacity to even hire somebody to take things off their plate to create more space because they were so maxed out. Right? Like, really think about that. And I experience that in my business. I get to a point sometimes in my business. Well, Krista like knows, like I'm like, Krista, I'm maxed out to the point where I don't even know what to tell you to do. Luckily, because she does business management, she can just like take the reins and like help me with it. But I mean, it's a capacity issue. I don't think anybody would ever deny my ability to coach and get results. It's more of, do I have the capacity to hold it? Do I feel safe and secure with the amount that I'm holding, whether that's money and or clients or other dynamics at play, right? So again, not going too far because we went a little bit off track here, but going back to, what is it that I do that I know that's keeping me from making the money that I want? And what are the patterns and or behaviors that are attached to that? So for any of you that have the story that money has to be hard, it's probably overworking or working too hard or just making things hard. I'm one of these humans that I literally will make the most simple things difficult, because I mean, I think for so long that's how my life was, and that's what feels naturally normal to me. But also it's just the way my brain like will malfunction sometimes, and I can't see like the like clearest path. So I'll make things more complicated than they have to be. I'm aware of this within myself and I'm working on it. But I can clearly see that pattern and how it shows up in my business and money. Like I make money effortlessly, but then I'll make things super hard on myself afterwards, because I also have a belief that I don't have a belief that money has to be hard. I have a belief that I don't deserve good things. That's my belief, right? Right. So just drop in the chat if you guys like need more time or if you need help, but drop in the chat if you have your thing that you are like letting go of, and then you have the pattern that goes with it. Because I want to show you something really interesting, because when we feel into your body might tell you a very different story. And this is so important because a lot of people come into my world and they'll tell me, "Oh, I know what the problem is. I know what it is." The truth is that if you knew what it was and you had these tools, it wouldn't be a problem anymore. And I know that's a tough pill to swallow, and that's hard for a lot of people to hear, but it's true. Your brain will tell you that one thing is a problem to keep you distracted from the real problem. And a lot of times, those real problems are really deep stuff like worthiness, deservingness, being afraid that you're a bad person and you don't, that if you get what you want, people won't love you. Like it's usually pretty deep shit, right? It's very rarely the stuff that it's not just I don't deserve it. There's something else there to it. We're making it personal. We're making it mean something about us, right? And so that's why my work is really different, is because I push you to that next level and be like, what is your body telling you? And why does it even matter? Why does it matter that you have this belief that things have to be hard? And there's always a deeper layer to it, right? So just drop it in the chat. Let me know when you guys are done with that so I know to move on to the next part. And I'm really excited for next week's session. I already wrote out the protocol. I was going to try to fit it in, but it was going to be too much in one session. So I decided to split it up into two. Yeah. So the belief that you have, so whether it's a belief, it can be a belief, it can be an emotion, but the thing that's holding you back from having the money that you desire, like today, right? So it can also be, guys, if you're one of these people that tend to have like the income roller coaster, it could also just be consistency. Why am I not making the money I desire consistently? Yeah, the belief. Exactly. And then I want you to start noticing the actions and the patterns from that belief. So if the belief is, well, I have to work hard for money, then the pattern might be, well, anytime money is easy, I go and add more things to my plate to prove to myself that I'm right. So guys, I think I talked about this on Tuesday's call, but our brains are actually wired to fact check everything we say. And you guys will notice that may have had this when something bad will happen and your brain will be like, oh, I knew that was too good to be true, or I knew that was going to happen. Your brains are wired to fact check what you're saying. That's why having your brain, I don't want to say mindset because I'm not a big mindset fan, because mindset is one piece of the puzzle and a small one at that. It's more about the brain body connection, but making sure that your brain and what it's telling you is in check is super important, right? I love that. Yeah. I love that. So many. Okay. So I would just probably pick one. And I would pick the one. I mean, you don't have to, but I would just pick one. And it doesn't actually matter because we're getting to the real root that's underneath all of those things. So just pick one just for this exercise. It doesn't actually matter if it's the right one or not. And honestly, there is no right one. They're all relevant. But I want you to notice that from this belief and what's the pattern? Is it tiredness? Is it procrastination? Is it like I went through that phase where I like hired team and like fired people because for me, it was like, I've recently discovered how much I really struggle to allow people to support me. And this stems from me being very young and being very much like the person that supported everybody in my family from a young age. And I knew this, but I didn't realize how much it was a problem until a guy that I've been dating like kind of called me out on it. And then I noticed it in my business with hiring team. And I was like, oh my God, this is my pattern. I don't feel safe to allow people to support me, or I don't feel worthy of it. Maybe I don't even know exactly what it is yet. It's still developing. And how that shows up is me not allowing people to help me. But the truth is I can't run the business I desire unless I have people to help me. Do you see how I'm blocking myself? I'm keeping myself stuck because of my belief that I don't feel safe or I don't feel worthy to have people support me. For me, I just don't even know how to do it. I don't even know how to navigate it. Like I'm just like, how do people help me? I don't know. Like and it's clearly blocking me from being successful in my business. Well, my business is successful, but successful in a way that I want because there's a lot of up and down in my business. So, and that's all on me for not being, as visible as I should be. And that's okay. For me, it's I have to be visible to get what I want, but I hate being visible. Yeah. And do you see how that's clearly keeping you stuck? You have this belief that I have to do this, but I won't. So I can't have the thing. But the truth is that you can have the thing. Either we change that belief or we change how much you hate being visible. We can do either one. Guys, let me be very, very clear here. This is also another big pill to swallow. I feel like I'm kind of on this matrix kicks lately of like asking people to swallow pills that kind of like blow their mind open. But guys, I want you to be very clear for a minute. You're even something like your personality isn't you. A lot of people have this saying, well, that's just who I am. That's my personality. Guys, your personality is made up of coping mechanisms, and a lot of those are maladaptive, right? Even the good things about us. I can trace back like I remember this turning point in my life when I've always been praised, and this goes into sales and all the other things because I'm so personable and I can talk to anybody and I can, whatever. And I had this moment when I was in my 30s, it's been recently, when I felt a lot of like resentment towards it, even though it's helped me be very successful in my business. And then I had this flashback of like my mom and feeling like my mom kind of were my personality as a badge of like, oh, look how amazing my daughter is. And I felt like she would like make me perform. That wasn't what she was doing, but it felt very overwhelming to me as a child. And I was like, wow, this is not my personality. This is how I learned to get my needs met in the world. I learned that if I act this way and perform this way and are is this way to people, then I get, attention or love or whatever, because my mom would praise me for it. So whether or not you agree with what I just said is irrelevant, but I do want you to think that like if our personalities are made up of coping mechanisms, how we learn to get our needs met in the world, right? I want you to really think about how much your beliefs play a role and how we not like the word manipulate, but change our projection of our future, right? That when I say beliefs, I'm talking about beliefs right now, but when I talk about beliefs in my world, I talk about the beliefs stored in our bodies, not in our brains, right? Brain body connection, but our brain will tell us one thing and our body's telling us something different, and we're not listening to both and or aligning them, right? So, Krista, like, so it may be true that you hate being visible, or is it that it's not true that you need to be visible to be successful? I just saw something about people having faceless YouTube channels and making like 500K a year, right? So just the point of me telling you about the personality thing and the point of me pointing all this stuff out is anything is possible. We just have to be in alignment with it so we can see the aha of what's next. Does that make sense? So I want you guys to really question if the things that you tell yourself are the reason you can't have what you want, if that's even true, right? And if Krista, you're like, well, that is true. I don't like being visible. Okay, well, we can work on that. We can either work on you feeling safe to be visible, because I'm going to show you in this next step that it's not actually about being visible. It's actually something deeper than that. And once we clear that, the visibility stuff will actually fall into alignment. That's why, guys, again, when you go to people that just do mindset, this is why it doesn't work, because mindset is like, well, I have to be visible. So let's work on that. They're not working at the deeper root of what's actually going on in the body to make you hate being visible, right? Okay. So now I just want you guys to like imagine that you're clearing the slate. I want all the energy from all those things just go away, right? And you're just here now with me. And we're going to do some breaths. We're going to do some breathing together. And you guys know I love to just do light. So I want you to imagine for a second the color. So this light is the color of the color that represents peace and like calm energy to you, right? And so maybe this color is from last week's session, and maybe it's not. It doesn't really matter. But the most important thing is that you feel safe and secure and like peaceful and not hyperactive, like just very calm. So whatever that color is for you. And I want you to imagine this light of this color, and we're breathing it in from the top of our head and the base of our spine, and it meets at our heart, and then we breathe out of our heart. So we're going to do 3 of these together. Ready? Doing very deep breath. Meeting at the heart, breathing out. That color, mine's blue purple. You'll already notice you feel a little bit different, right? Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Meeting at the heart. Breathe out. Yeah. Okay. So now I want you to ask yourself from your body, not your brain. And guys, if your brain is trying to take control of this, bilateral stimulation. Okay. We are not talking to our brain right now. We've been talking to our brain all morning. We're talking to our body. On a scale from 1 to 10, how worthy are you of making the money you desire today? 10 being yes. Drop it in the chat so I know where everyone's at. How worthy, and I can actually drop these in the chat if that's easier for you because I've already have them written out. I love that. Thank you, Ginger. Good. Okay. Good. I love these numbers. Okay. The next one, how much do you deserve to make the money you desire today? Good. 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 Love this. How worthy are you of letting money you desire be easy? Good to notice. Good to notice. Yeah. So we're already starting to see the difference. A lot of you guys have the story with easy. Me too. And all my other clients as well. How much do you deserve for the money you desire to be easy? Okay, good. How worthy are you of success being easy? How worthy are you of success being easy? Good to notice. Good to notice. Just, and I'm basically asking the same things over and over in just different ways, right? But just noticing and getting really clear on what our stories are, right? How much do you deserve for success to be easy? Sorry, I didn't mean to send that one yet, but you can do that. Good to notice. So how much do you deserve for success to be easy? Good to notice. Okay. And then the last two, right? How much do you deserve to have everything that you desire with ease and flow? Good to notice. How worthy are you of having everything you desire with ease and flow? Good. Sorry, I know I said that was the last one, but I have another one. Things have to be hard. So 10 would be like, yes, I agree. My body agrees. One being like, no. Things have to be hard. From your body, 10 being yes. So we want that number to be low. So 10 being like, yep, that's true, right? Okay. On a scale from 1 to 10, money has to be hard. To be like, yes, that from my body, that's true. Okay, good. Good to notice. So I know it's too hard to type in the chat, so I'm just going to ask you to think about it. Why do you think that when I asked you, especially because all of you have been in my world for a minute, so you've been doing this work for a while, why do you think when I asked you, what's the one thing from keeping you from making money, did none of these things come up? Now, a little bit of it, somebody said money has to be hard, but there was nothing about I'm not worthy of it or I don't deserve it or anything like that. Why do you think that is? And if you want to drop it in the chat, you can, but I'm just asking you to start thinking. And I want you to just show you what your brain will do to get you close enough to the problem. And it's not a problem, guys. It's just a misunderstanding. It's not an actual problem. To be like, oh, I figured it out. So I'll just focus on this thing. But if you're only like, and I actually just had this conversation with so many of my clients, but actually today before this call, of that she's like, my mindset is on lock. And I'm going, okay, I hear that. What's your body telling you? If you just because you think something doesn't mean that you're embodying it or you know it in your body, right? That's why we do brain and body alignment. Your brain needs to be saying yes and your body needs to be saying less. If you're only working with the brain, you're actually sabotaging yourself because your body's going to scream at you and be like, something's not right. You're not listening because your brain is telling you a story that isn't true. Hey, only get to this deep of it. We don't want to go deeper than that. We don't want to touch the stuff that tells us we're not worthy or not deserving or we're never going to have what we want or, people won't love us or whatever. People don't like to talk about it. They don't want to touch it. But what's funny is as soon as you touch it and you allow it, there's so much freedom on the other side of it because it's not true. It's not true. Do you guys clearly see are you picking up what I'm putting down here? That doing mindset work is great, but making sure that you're getting to the bottom of why that story matters, right? So if I go back up and I can already see with these numbers, like who should be working on what, right? So if you're anything, I don't like to be anything less than an 8, but 7 is still okay. But if you're 6 or lower on any of these, that's something. So like, 6 or 7, how worthy of you are being success being easy, so there's a worth piece there, right? Deserving piece. The one that got a lot of people was how worthy are you of letting the money you desire be easy? So I want to ask the question is, what do you fear would happen if money was easy? What do you fear would happen if money was easy? Because that seemed to be the one that was getting everybody. And just for context, my client said, well, if I get a lot of money easily, people are going to judge me as entitled because she has a story around being entitled. And people won't love me. If I'm entitled, basically it got to people won't love me. I'm not worthy of love if I have what I desire. I have to work hard for it so I earn it so people actually like me. So I'll actually earn like love, right? Like, who would have ever thought in a million years when I said, well, what's the one thing keeping you from making the money you desire today, that it would be, oh, well, I have this fear of people think I'm entitled and nobody will love me. Like, but when we get to these deeper things that nobody really wants to touch, this is where the magic happens, right? And it doesn't have to be heavy. Like we can have fun while doing it. I have people literally in sessions that cry and laugh like at the same time. It doesn't have to be heavy, but we want to be very clear on the stories we're telling ourselves, right? And if it helps you getting clear on where those stories came from, most of the time those stories develop before the age of 7. And then we make them mean something about us. So, our parents did something, or we saw our parents and how they acted, or whatever, and we developed this story. And then we make that story mean something about us. Like, I'm bad. I'm not good. I don't deserve it. I'm not worthy. People will never love me. It's like all the deep, dark shit that nobody ever wants to touch. Right. Yeah. And this is something for sure that we've talked about so much, right? Which I do think that's shifting for you, right? I feel like, especially after our last like private session, I really feel like that's shifting for you. Um, yeah, yeah, I love that. Good. I'm so glad. Like that literally makes me so happy. Like a lot of times after I do those detailing sessions, I literally cry afterwards because I know the depth that they go and I know the healing that they facilitate. And I wish that I hope that everybody gets to experience it, right? Because it's deep and powerful work. And I feel like if we can shift those beliefs from the sensation point and install new beliefs and new sensations and new identity from there, we are literally going first. We're being different, and everyone around us, including our business and money, will all respond to how we're being. People like to say, oh, it doesn't matter who you're being. I fully disagree, right? That's not to say that we're not human, that we don't make mistakes. We don't, I miss deadlines all the time and I don't feel well and all the things, and I still make the money I desire. I don't want anybody to ever feel like because of their humanness, they can't make the money they desire. The only reason that we're not making the money we desire is we don't feel safe and or worthy of it or deserving of it. That's it. I mean, yes, there's other factors, but like that's pretty much it, guys. Yeah. So next week you're going to come with us and we're going to work on this in hypnosis. But I want you guys clearly see what your brain was trying to tell you versus what your body was trying to communicate. I want to just drop a yes or thumbs up. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page because when you guys go to do this work in between these containers, or maybe you get to a point where you see that you need extra like love, and extra help, I want to show you guys how to do it. Right. Yeah. Bad things. Yeah. Need to earn it, otherwise bad things would happen. Yeah. And that's a big one for me, having like financial trauma of like people dying and leaving me money. So good things are almost always attached to the other shoe dropping, right? And that's an identity that I've been working on for like like it started in 2020. I can tell you exactly when I started working on it, because when it became super prevalent, when I started making high cash months and not being able to sustain it or not being able to hold it, and really realizing, fuck, I have this belief that bad things will happen if I get good things. So I keep basically I was punishing myself because that's what my brain thought to be true, and my brain was trying to create a dynamic where it was to prove itself right, right? Like, oh well, if you got all these good things, it must actually actually I'm going to tell you, I think I already told you about this house that I'm staying in. It's beautiful, right? And I manifested it for free, but with the caveat that a bunch of shit had to happen wrong for me to get it. So I was renting another space from the same owner, and I kept having issues. And I mean, guys, bad issues, like to the point where I was in tears. Like it was really, really stressful. And because to me, home is like my most sacred space. So I have to have a home that feels safe. And literally, she ended up giving me this place to stay because I had issues, but because I have a story, then it has to be hard first. I can't just have good things. If you guys want to talk about manifestation and how that's real, I don't know how else to give you a better example than that. I get good things. I manifest things all the fucking time. I make crazy, I cash, pay in full, whatever, clients and months and all the things. But I always tend to sabotage it or make it hard before I can get the things I desire. So really ask yourself if that's true for you. It might not be, but it is good to think about, right? My program and coaching, I work with very difficult population, doesn't have high success rate. Yeah, yeah, I hear that. And I think for me, the question, like if you were my private client, the question I would ask you is like, well, can you change that belief? And actually, guys, this is actually, yeah. And I hear that. I'm very mindful of that too. I've even been writing content about this because I also don't I want to sell the possibility because I know it's possible for everybody, but I don't want to be that coach that's like, you can come in my world and make 100K. Like, I want people to know that I'm not trying to sell them, that I literally can help them, but like, I don't want to sell a dream that I feel like sets people up for failure. And so I also struggle with that. I want you to just know that, and for me to just be clear and honest with you guys. But I will say this, that I want you guys to all try, well, at least, I don't know, maybe it's just Ginger, I'm not sure, but there's this thing that we do in the communities that I've been like certified in and stuff like that. I can't even remember what community at this point, maybe hypnosis, NLP, not sure. Um, where we call it going first. And when we're talking with somebody, we can actually imagine them like overcoming it and like smiling, and like it's creepy how much it works. So when you're with a difficult client, now obviously if the client's really in trauma and like all of that, but like if they're like normal and like just talking about stuff, and you actually envision them and you actually shift in a way that you are there with them as so notice how you hold your body language when somebody is being coming from a disempowered place versus how you hold it when people are coming from an empowered place. Shift your body language as in like they're telling you what's going on, but they're taking control. They're like deciding that they're going to take control and in action. And then envision them to actually like be resolved, maybe happy. Because I know you work with trauma, but like maybe happy is too much of a jump, but like resolved. And I swear, like when I do this, it creeps me out how freaking like effective it is, right? Okay, good. Imagine that client is smiling. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's crazy because we call it going first because everybody is reacting from us. So everybody in this call can think about it as a relationship. So let's say your husband or partner or whatever is mad and comes in and like starts yelling at you, or maybe not yelling, I don't, but like bickering, like, being shitty, like short, whatever. And then you become reactive and you respond, and then he responds to that, and it's back and forth. But if you sit back, move your body language, and be like, this is his shit. It has nothing to do with me, and respond from that place, he will respond differently, literally creating a different reality because then you'll respond differently. Do you see this? This is why this work is so powerful. And a lot of it is body language, a lot of it. So I always have to think, okay, when somebody's talking to me from a really empowered place, how do I hold my body language? Ginger, another good thing that I'm going to tell you that was really powerful and helpful for me. And guys, any of you that do sales calls, this is also like sales, freaking next level sales. You never put your body forward, always back. And let me show you why that's so important. So let's say we're on a sales call and I say, oh, it's, $10,000 for 6 months, whatever. And I'm doing this. Notice how invasive that feels to you, right? It feels a little like, why are you doing that? And I'm not even face to face with you. I'm on a freaking computer screen. Now, if I say, oh yeah, it's 10,000 for 6 months, and I lean back, my shoulders are back, and I'm just sitting here. Do you see how different that feels? And I have to catch myself because I even catch myself doing this with clients where I would be very leaned forward. Now, sometimes I lean forward on purpose. It's a strategic thing. But a lot of times, if somebody's really struggling to like make a change, and I notice myself leaning forward too much, I'm like, oh, I'm being enabling. And I have to lean back and just allow them to be in their process. And they 99% of the time come out the other side. Whereas if I was leaned forward and like very, in the process, they get kind of jumbled. So your body language actually says a lot, right? But it also will tell us where there's a miss with where we feel like we are over responsible. When we lean, yeah, right? Lean back on sales calls. Yep. And in change work, depending on where you're at in the change work. If you're like helping somebody through a hard time, and they're really struggling to do it, you just lean back. Notice if they're like being empowered, right? And it takes some time. I mean, honestly, I could do a whole training over this, but yeah. So is everyone clear? I just want you guys to drop in the chat of like, guys, like, yes, I'm clear on what my brain was telling me was a problem, but now I actually have a better understanding of what that problem is. Yeah. Okay. I want you guys to bring that next week. Good. I want you to bring it next week. We're going to do some hypnosis. I hope that hypnosis is like really landing for you guys. I'm really on a hypnosis kick these days. But I'm going to bring back some tapping into it because I've been bringing tapping back. So we'll do some of that too. So I hope this was helpful. But the most important thing was I just wanted to show you the difference between when our brain tells us there's a problem versus when our body tells us there's a problem, and the filter that our brain puts it through will always kind of keep us from really getting to the real root of what's going on. Yes, please. They'll comment. I can now deliver. I love that for you. That is an amazing win, and I am so celebrating you for that. Oh, really quick. Speaking of that, I do have an announcement. So I am actually stepping back from the Aligned AF. It's still going to stay open for now because I am hiring team and doing all this stuff. But when I really step back into my capacity of what's been going on, um, there's a lot going on in my world right now. And Ginger, I'm not even sure. I think Heather and Krista know, but there was a suicide in my family. I'm not sure if you know about that. And so it's been interesting watching myself navigate that while changing and scaling my business. So, anyways, nothing affects this container, but I'm not going to be doing the free live trainings the rest of the time on Tuesdays in December. I might pick them back up in January, but I am doing yeah, thank you. And I'm only sharing because I want, as a leader of this container, I have to go first and I have to be very honest with my capacity and what I have capacity for. And when things like this happen, what I have to focus on and all of that. And I've just had to get really real with myself. I love doing the trainings, they're so great. But right now, I've got to focus on scaling my business and getting my team in place and scaling from that. So I'm stepping back from the Tuesday. So I'm going to cancel them for the rest of the year. I might pick them back up in January, but I am going to be doing I'm going to call it the money matrix. And so it's, I haven't decided. It's either going to be a month long or 2 weeks long yet, but live trainings on Instagram. And I'm going to be doing audits as well. So if you guys, want any of that, let me know. But me and Krista Krista's posting for me, but we'll be dropping. Yeah, right. So fun. And I want to do this work with people. I want to show them, guys, it's your body's telling you something very different. And I want people to always leave my world knowing whether or not they hire me. Like, yes, the intention is to have people enroll in my containers, obviously, but like I want everybody to know, like, if they don't have the money, which this is a $50 a month membership. Like, I know not everybody has that money, but I'm like, okay, like, they can, they can, they can at least afford that. I don't try to enroll people in my private coaching that can't afford it. That I'm not trying to play that game, right? But I want people to always leave my world knowing exactly what's been holding them back because most of them have been doing this mindset work and this other work for years and they still don't get it. So that's always my intention. Can you do some I don't know anti Andrew Tate marketing. I don't know what that means, but I have no idea what that means. But I just do the best I can with my marketing and my capacity, and just tell people. Oh, oh no, it's not like that. I just like the name. I don't even know who that is. But the Money Matrix, just figuring out brain body alignment around why you receive, like why or why not you attract, receive, and hold, because those are all different things. Money in your body, right? That's really what it's going to be about. So nothing about matrix in that sense. I just want people to know that I don't like the word manipulate, but they can change their perspective on how they create money. And it really just gets to be easy. And the biggest thing that we have to deal with is that most of us are just fighting ourselves. Like, there's a part of us like it gets to be easy, and there's a part of ourselves like fighting the other part, being like, no, it has to be hard. And it's really just us. It's us fighting us, right? Like, we're the only ones making it difficult. And I just want people to know that from a loving place, not like you're fucking it up, not like that. So, anyways, so just letting you guys know that Tuesday for the rest of the trainings for the rest of the month will be canceled, and I'll touch base at the beginning of the year and let you guys know what I've decided and how to move forward with Aligned AF. But it'll stay open, and of course, you guys can still ask questions and get support in there. But I gotta make sure that I'm doing what's in alignment for me and my energy, because that's what I teach you guys, and I have to walk my walk, right? So, anyways, so much love to you guys. I'll make sure to type it out so everybody knows. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. And if you need anything between then, you guys know where to find me. Let me know. Bye, everybody. You're welcome. Thank you.